roughly 2-kilometer stretch of Mombasa Road, especially the crossing at Hilton Garden Inn and the Syokimau Railway Station Nairobi SGR Terminus, and the stretch between Kappa Industries and the Mastermind.
Minister, you have 9 questions, and we must be done with you by 6. By 6. So I want you to give us succinct, short answers pointed to the question. There may be supplementaries that may give you a latitude to wander around, but I want pointed answers to pointed questions. Go ahead and answer the first question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to appear before this august House to answer these questions. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we have 9 questions, but as it shall appear later, I will demonstrate that the 9 questions are subsumed to 3 topics. And therefore, the rest of the issues that are related to pending roads can be collapsed and answered together. Mr. Speaker, on this particular question, allow me, Mr. Speaker, to appreciate the Honourable Member for this question, Honourable Joyce Kamene, and to note for the good of the House that indeed we have a challenge in the country when dealing with matters related or touching on pedestrians. Statistics from NTSA, Mr. Speaker, show that we lost 1,383 persons who are pedestrians, 1,557 and 1,682 in the years 2020, 2021, and 2022 respectively. It is, Mr. Speaker, saddening that we continue losing lives as a result of lack of infrastructure and sometimes recklessness on the road. The reasons are because of inadequate facilities for non-motorized traffic, including cycling and footpaths. In this case, the Ministry has prioritized incorporation of non-motorized transport as part of national transport policy. All new roads now, Mr. Speaker, being constructed will have in place footbridges, cycling paths, and footpaths. Under Kura, already, Mr. Speaker, 300 kilometers of footpaths have been done in the last 5 years. 12 footbridges have been built, 8 of them being in Outer Ring Road here in Nairobi, and others spread in an identified location across Nairobi City. There is a policy to ensure road furniture and road markings. Road furniture, Mr. Speaker, the signage and the material used to protect road users are in good condition, and where traffic calming measures are used, that they are compliant with stipulated standards. The division of the ministry concerned with road standards is working with all road agencies to enforce approved configuration of bumps in the entire country. However, of great concern is the issue of pedestrians not using the footbridges anyway, even after being constructed. And Mr. Speaker, we've witnessed a lot of accidents here in Nairobi, especially in Allsops, Waraka, Outer Ring Road, City Square, and Wayaki Way. Pedestrians have an apparent insatiable appetite to defy the use of footbridges in crossing the roads. This results in the road traffic accidents being higher than they might have been otherwise. It has also compelled the ministry to erect bumps, Mr. Speaker, for example, around where the footbridge is already constructed, for example, the Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi, as a result, disrupting traffic flow. And if you use Langata Road, you know this is a big challenge. Consequently, we are working with road agencies together with NTSA to formulate a new strategy that uses digital cameras to support the enforcement of traffic regulations. We anticipate that in the next few months, we will have started a trial process using traffic cameras, especially in Nairobi, along the northern corridor. On this specific of 3 number of footbridges along Mombasa Road at the following locations, Mr. Speaker. Airtel Building near the Southern Bypass Interchange, Syokimau Railway Station, Katani, a few meters north of Katani Road Junction. The works are scheduled to commence on 27th of April 2023 with contract completion date of 26th October 2025. This is a 30-month contract period comprising of 18 months completion period and 12 months defects liability period. The contract sum, Mr. Speaker, is 1.2 billion and 1.2 billion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kamene, are you satisfied? If you are, we go to the next question.
Mr. Speaker, I just want some more clarity, because if I remember very well, there was a public participation that was done before the express highway got started. And it was agreed that there was essence of 5-foot bridges. The population, and because of the public safety in that stretch from Mulolongo to Hilton Garden. And the one which is most critical, the one of Kappa, because Kappa around there are so many industries, and the residential area, people crossing that road. There was one bridge that was supposed to be put there. What happens to that one now?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is true that during public participation there were actual requests of more than 5 footbridges. But Mr. Speaker, of course, we work within budgetary constraints. If Honorable Member is, if I got her right, she's suggesting that there was a request for a footbridge around Kappa, around Nation, in the Mlolongo area. And Mr. Speaker, the truth is that the footbridge, the one I have read in Katani, is few meters from where the Honorable Member is mentioning. Of course, it will be a bit of a walk from the exact position where she's saying, but in our consideration, it was important to start with the one in Katani junction there, as you can imagine, Mr. Speaker, in the financial constraint we are facing as a country, we've been able to set aside 1.2 billion for this exercise. In the next phase, of course, Mr. Speaker, finances permitting, we shall increase the number of the footbridges. But the Honourable Member's concern is founded on true position presented by the members of public during public participation.
Next question, 072 of 2023. I have a letter from Honorable Abor nominating Joyce Kamene to ask the question on his behalf.
Yeah, I arise to ask the question 072/2023 on behalf of the Member of Parliament, Honorable Paul Obor, Rango MP, to the Cabinet Secretary, Roads. The first one, explain the circumstances under which construction of the Riosiro Rongo University Chamgir Wodu Road has stalled for the last 2 years. The second one, state plans that the ministry has put in place to ensure that the contractor resumes construction of the said road. And number 3, further state the timeline of the completion of the said road.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg your indulgence. The question from Honorable Abor is similar to other 6 questions, all of which are asking one question: to explain why roads have stalled. Mr. Speaker, if in the interest of time and for the benefit of the members and for good order, you may allow me, I could address the question raised by Honorable John Juguna, which is the mother question. The mother question in the sense, number 10, Mr. Speaker, asks why all roads have stalled. So that, Mr. Speaker, when I give the global picture...
Hold on, Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
For purposes of parliamentary record, each question must be asked. The only thing we can is questions on stalled roads. If you have answers, we can have members specifically ask, then you answer.
Yes,
How many members have questions on stalled roads? Let me see. You may take your seat, Minister. Honorable Mulyungi, is your question on stalled roads? You have question 77. It's a stalled road. You may ask the question and sit to await an answer in combination with others.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 078/2023.
77 or 78?
77 is not on stored project.
Okay, fine.
It is different.
Okay.
But the one I'm asking is a stored project.
Okay, ask 78.
Could the Cabinet Secretary provide details of total contract sum and the contract period for the construction of Gunenu Road and Nziu Bridge in Kitui County? Mr. Speaker, Gunenu Road is the one which is stored, but Nziu Bridge is not stored. It is ongoing. Number two, could the CS explain why the construction of the said road and bridge, the said road are stored for such a long time?
You are saying the same road and bridge? And
No, I've said, I've clarified, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Yes. The bridge is going on.
Okay.
But the road are
stalled.
stored. Yes. Why it has taken such a long period, and state when the projects are expected to be completed. Number three, clarify whether there were any corporate social responsibility projects provided for the contracts of the two. And if so, provide details and timelines for delivery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CNN, yours is also on stalled road.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask this question 79 of 2023 to our young and able Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport. 1. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the status of the remaining section of Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Migwani, Bondoni Road, which was state when construction of the said road is expected to be completed and the measures that the ministry has put in place to ensure that the project is not abandoned before its completion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Peter Masara. Peter Masara, your question is also on a stalled road.
The question is on an installed bridge, Kokende Arombe Bridge in Slaughterhouse constituency.
It's not a stalled road. Okay, we'll leave it aside. Gideon Mulyungi.
Mr. Speaker, the other ones are not stored.
Clerk, how did you allocate Gideon Mulyungi 3 questions in one day? The next, in fact, he has 4. Yes. So we'll leave out Gideon 81. We go to 83, another Gideon Mulyungi. Is it on a stalled road?
Can answer, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you can
the
answer.
The reason, Mr. Speaker, is I gave these questions at the beginning of this session.
No problem. Just proceed and answer. I didn't ask you anything.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 77/2023 to the CS. Number 1, provide details on the road total contract sum and the contract period for construction of Kalisasi-Mumbuni Road, Phase 1 and Phase 2. Indicate when the construction of the Kalisasi-Mumbuni Road is expected to be completed. Consider extending the construction of Kalisasi-Mumbuni Road to Mumbuni Shopping Center instead of the current terminus. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Go on to 81.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the CS provide a status report on the use of Nairobi Expressway since its inauguration and how it has improved traffic congestion in the city? Number 2, state when the ministry intends to improve the main Mombasa.
That is slightly different, Gideon. You can hold on that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
We go to 83. Ask 83.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the CS provide details of the total contract sum and the contract period for construction of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road? Number 2, explain the causes for the delay in the construction of the said road, which is yet to be completed, including work relating to drainage, access culverts, and the reinstatement of services such as water pipes and the street lights, among others. Mr. Speaker, the road is completed, but the services which were removed have not been reinstated. Thank you.
Last one, John Njuguna, member for Kiambaa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I asked question number 115, 2023, to the minister. Provide a list of all stored loads projects in the country, enumerating the reasons for the stalling of each of the projects. Question 2, provide details of all pending bills owed to load contractors in the country and explain the measures in place to settle and the status of each of the pending bill. Question 3, explain the measures that the ministry is taking to ensure that the stored works resume and that all pending bills are immediately settled. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, from the way I see it, answer all the other questions, then you'll come to this very broad one of John Njuguna that is likely to attract almost a supplementary from everybody. Because when he says a list of all stalled road projects, I'm sure every member has a story to tell about stalled road projects. So answer all the others. We'll finish with Kawanjiku's question.
I actually beg your indulgence, Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
to start with Kawanjiko's question, Honorable Kawanjiko's question, or Honorable John Njuguna's question, because once I answer that, the rest of the questions fall in place in terms of the consequence. And that's why I requested you earlier.
Go ahead.
It's like the mother question is Honorable Njuguna's question. Mr. Speaker, I will start with question number 10, then I'll come to the rest. The State Department of Roads, through its 3 implementing agencies, has an ongoing roads portfolio of over 800 projects with an outstanding cost of approximately 763 billion shillings as at 28th of February 2023, sorry. So, Speaker, the reason for the emphasis of 763 billion and the date given of 28 February is because with interest, the figure keeps changing, Mr. Speaker, as time goes. Out of this outstanding, an amount of 150 billion is related to certified works, actually 145 billion, related to certified works not yet paid. That is the pending bills. Most of the 800 projects are currently on slow implementation, while others have completely stopped due to inability of the government to avail adequate budget over the years. We note, Mr. Speaker, that some of these contracts have stalled for over 5 years and some almost 10 years, 9 approaching 10 years, Mr. Speaker. And I have provided the annex, Mr. Speaker. It will be tabled to the House. One of our officers has the annex here. And these roads, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me just for people to appreciate where it's coming from, roads like, Mr. Speaker, in Bungoma, Oaxaca, Cariosionde, Tulienge, Sirisha, up to Chwele, Mr. Speaker, have been pending since 2017. Or roads, Mr. Speaker, like the Natu Bridge, Kagwata, Mulika Market in Meru, Mr. Speaker, which was also from 2016. Or roads like Kilgoris, Olgorian, which is, for example, Mr. Speaker, from 2020. Or roads, Mr. Speaker, like the one in Danger, Chemuswa, Cheptiret, Keses, Lesos, and Cheptiret Mo University, Makin and Hills in Nandi County, Mr. Speaker, which have been stalling from 2016. So these are just but some of the examples of stalled roads. And honorable members, a number of them have come to the office and we've discussed these issues. Contractors are owed currently 145 billion in terms of pending bills, with local contractors being owed 50 billion and foreign contractors being owed 60 billion. Part of the pending bills, Mr. Speaker, which is 35 billion, is, Mr. Speaker, owed to matters related to land acquisition. Mr. Speaker, the actions we are taking are as follows. In line with the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, we have committed ourselves to complete all the ongoing projects. Number 2, we are having, Mr. Speaker, negotiations with contractors. Within the last 6 months, Mr. Speaker, when we have been able to secure some amount, we have given the magnitude of the pending bills, Mr. Speaker, given the magnitude of the pending bills, this amount was spread thin among service providers and contractors could not be able to go back to site and resume works. And remember, Mr. Speaker, this spreading thin is not as a result of decision of the ministry, it's the budgeting by this august House. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, as a result of that situation, we have had to resort to a situation where we are requesting the National Treasury to allow us to negotiate with contractors who are willing to resume works. It is through the resumption plan that a few road projects across the country have resumed, and you've seen some of them. We are launching them. And Mr. Speaker, it's important to say this in this very important chamber, that, Mr. Speaker, you have seen us even relaunch projects that were initially launched almost 8 years ago because they were long forgotten, like the case where the president was launching a project in Nyandarua County recently. And I know many people are concerned why it's being launched again. Because, Mr. Speaker, if a project has stayed for more than 7, 8 years, it's long forgotten. And, Mr. Speaker, it needs to be given a new lease of life. It is like, Mr. Speaker, being redone for the first time. Mr. Speaker, working with the National Treasury and in keeping with the economic plans of the government in the current financial year, Mr. Speaker, to stop borrowing, it is expected that in the next financial year, the economic situation will have improved to enable resumption of access to funding on affordable terms. And Mr. Speaker, we know that, Mr. Speaker, as a result of the financial situation we have and the economic situation we have in the country, there was a decision, Mr. Speaker, to stop continued digging of the financial hole. And as a result of that, Mr. Speaker, projects have been unable to be to resume on time. But we have, pursuant to advice from Treasury, we've been patient, Mr. Speaker, because we were told if we keep in with the financial plan that the Treasury has for this financial year, in the beginning of the next financial year, we might be able to access financial support and lending, Mr. Speaker, at affordable terms for us to borrow and clear the remaining projects. Mr. Speaker, another measure we've undertaken is that, Mr. Speaker, we are not starting any new project unless they are funded by developing partners on concessional terms, or if this House, Mr. Speaker, allocates funds to deal with emergencies, such as security roads or access to new government projects, for example, dams, hospitals, public institutions, or new housing projects. We appreciate, Mr. Speaker, the bilateral and multilateral development partners for their immense support on concessional terms. This has enabled us to start new projects that otherwise we could not have done. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to use this opportunity to mention the Horn of Africa Gateway Development Projects, which are funded by World Bank and African Development Bank as an example of this concessional support, and we have other bilateral support we receive from other lenders across the country. Cognizant of this financial situation, which, Mr. Speaker, has built up over the last 5 years, our first duty as a responsible government is to stop the situation from deteriorating further through concessional and unaffordable borrowing. Mr. Speaker, we decided recently to access the annuity fund to enable us, Mr. Speaker, continue this project. A meeting will take place tomorrow to ask the committee responsible for annuity fund to allow us to access 12 billion that is in the annuity account. This amount will enable us to pay some of the pending bills and hence bring some contractors back on site. And a number of projects will soon resume. Mr. Speaker, in this arrangement, I want to thank the contractors, Mr. Speaker, who, despite the situation we have been facing, decided to continue with the projects even way long after we've not been able to pay them. I want to, Mr. Speaker, you will see the report I have tabled. Some of the contractors, we owe them up to 17 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, some of the local contractors, we owe them up to 5 billion. I totally appreciate them for their patience, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank some of the banks that, as a result of our intervention, have been kind to their contractors, because a number of them could easily have lost their property, Mr. Speaker, through auction as a result of non-payment of the facilities they have received because of our situation. Mr. Speaker, the tabulation of the same will be tabled, Mr. Speaker, and each member of this House will have an opportunity through your kind office to see, Mr. Speaker, the projects that they are in their counties or their constituencies, and, Mr. Speaker, understand the situation where it is. This situation, I repeat, Mr. Speaker, is unfortunately an inherited situation. The ministry, I know many Kenyans are asking themselves, why is the ministry not facilitating construction of roads immediately? This question would have been asked 5 years ago, Mr. Speaker, in 2016, 2017, 2020, when all these projects stalled. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, our job is not to continue writing the book of lamentations that this was not done 5 years ago, 7 years, 8 years ago, is to appreciate the magnitude of the situation at the moment and work around the clock to negotiate with the contractors and request those that still have capacity to finance themselves to go on site, Mr. Speaker. Even in this 12 billion, I want to assure our members here, even the 12 billion we are going to receive, it's a drop in the ocean compared to a payment of, Mr. Speaker, to contractors of over 90 billion directly of already certificates that are due. But there are some contractors who are ready on negotiation. If we pay them certain figure and they have more than one road, Mr. Speaker, they will be willing to go on site. And Mr. Speaker, I've seen Honorable Member of Kajiado North sitting here. He knows that, Mr. Speaker, one of the contractors we negotiated for his road to be constructed and for the contractor to be on site. Now going to the other specific questions, that Mr. Speaker, is the global situation as requested as asked by Honorable John Juguna. Now let me go to the specific questions of the projects that have been mentioned by honorable members, starting with 73 of 2023 by Honorable Paul Obwor of Rongo. Mr. Speaker, the contract for upgrading bitumen standard and performance-based routine maintenance of Rio City, Moi University, Rongo campus, Ogwethi to God Job Center Road was awarded to Mystical Corporations, Mr. Speaker, in 2019 at a tender sum of 1.1 billion. The upgrading commenced on 20th August 2019 and was scheduled to be completed in 30 months. in 20th that is by 20th February 2022, with a defect liability period of 12 months and a maintenance period of 36 months. To date, Mr. Speaker, 42 months have elapsed, being 143% of contract period against an overall progress of approximately 68%, with 18.2 kilometers of blacktop achieved out of the total scope of 30 kilometers of Ogwethi Good Job Center section of the project, totaling to 12 kilometers, has been substantially completed and are awaiting handing over to the employer, that is KERA, and that will enable us to continue maintenance. To date, Mr. Speaker, the amount certified for payment, which is pending, Mr. Speaker, to this contractor is 696 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. I also wish to add that the contractor suspended works on site effective October 2021. That is, Mr. Speaker, more than a year ago, due to financial constraint attributed to delayed payment of IPCs, which affected their cash flow. Currently, the contractor is owed 347 billion in lieu of the works done. Number two, Mr. Speaker, KERA intends to take over the parts of the work that have been substantially completed, as I've already indicated, for the Ogwethi God Job Center section for the project totaling 12 kilometers, upon which the contractor will be able to claim and receive part of the retention monies held by the authority and with which the contractor has received instructions to resume works on site. These are innovative ways we are applying for the contractor to be able to come on site. Further, KERA has provided provision of Kenya shillings 132 million shillings in the budget for the financial year 2022-2023 for the project, and once the Exchequer has released the funds for the above, the contractor will be able to proceed with the remaining works. Due to the financial constraints experienced by the contractor because of the delay in payment, he has applied for extension of time, understandably, of 639 days, and an evaluation of the same is ongoing, Mr. Speaker. And these 39 days are also already running. They are increasing. So the process will be considered as we continue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on question 77 of 2023 by Honorable Gideon Mulyunki again, Mr. Speaker, I will respond as follows. That is in relation to Kilisasi Mumbisi Road, phase 1 and 2. Mr. Speaker, the contract sum of phase 1 of the Kilisasi Mumbini Road, Kiseveni Kalisai Primary School section is 74 million shillings, 953,255. The contract for the construction of the 1.7 kilometer road was awarded to Ms. Simora Group Limited and commenced on 16th August 2021. The contract sum of phase 2 of the Kalisasi Mumbuni Road, Kalisasi Kime section is 38,172,976 and 95 cents. The contract for the construction of the 1 kilometer road was awarded to Ms. M&J Holding Limited and commenced on 30th September 2022. The contract period of phase 1 was 18 months, and the works are expected to be completed by 16th of February 2023. The contractor has completed all the instructed major works and has requested for substantial completion inspection, which will be conducted at the end of this month. The contract period of phase 2 was 9 months, and the works are expected to be completed by June 2023. The phase 3 contract terminates at Ikime Center, which is 1 kilometer short to Mumbuni Shopping Center. KERA will consider extending the road to Mumbuni Shopping Center once the funds become available. Further, KERA extended the phase 1 contract by 0.44 kilometers at a cost of 11.2 million to close the gap between Kalisasi Primary School and Kalisasi Center. The total length of the phase 1 contract is therefore 2.14 kilometer. Mr. Speaker, on the question 78 of stock 2023 by the same honorable member of Mwingi Central, Mr. Speaker, The contract of the upgrading to bitumen standards and performance-based routine maintenance of Nguni New Road, E4119 Road, was awarded to Ms. Admo Construction Limited on 16th May 2017 at a contract sum of 1,484,617,735. The upgrading works commenced on 14th July 2017 and was scheduled to be completed 30 months up to the 14th of January 2020, with defects liability period of 12 months and a maintenance period of 36 months. To date, 69 months have elapsed, being 230% of the contract period against an overall progress of 76%, with 22.46 kilometers blacktop achieved out of the total scope of 35 kilometers. The contract for the emergency construction of Nziu Bridge and approach road was awarded to Ms. Q Construction Limited on 23rd December 2021 at a contract sum of 578 million shillings, 951,128. The works commenced on 5th April 2022 and were scheduled to be completed in 18 months up to 5th October 2023, with defect liability period of 24 months. To date, 12 months, 66% of the contract period has elapsed against an overall progress of 26%. In regard to the contract for the upgrading to bitumen standard and performance-based routine maintenance of New Road, E4119 Road, the contractor suspended works effective October 2021 due to financial constraints attributed to delayed payment of pending IPCs, which affected their cash flow. To date, the amount certified for payment is 612,494,144 cents, which is 40.25% of the contract sum. And as 14 April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total of 175 million shillings, 878 and 72 shillings and 57 cents. The ministry through the carer has provided a provision of 72 million shillings in the budget for financial year 2022-2023 for the project, and once there is an exchequer release funds and payment is made, the contractor shall resume works immediately. As for the emergency construction of Nziu Bridge and Approach Road, the amount certified for payment is 97,955,692 and 21 cents, which is 16.92% of the contract sum of 578,951 and 128. And as of 14th April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total sum of 23 million shillings. The ministry through carer has provided a provision for 92 million in the budget for financial year 2022-2023 for the project, and once there is exchequer release for funds and payment is made, the contractor shall resume works immediately. The two contracts do not have any provision for corporate social responsibility, and the contractors have not indicated any desire to do the same. Mr. Speaker, I will move to question number 79 of 2023 from Honorable Charles Ngusha, otherwise known as CNN, on Mwingi West. Mr. Speaker, the outstanding works for the section of the Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Migwani, Mbondoni Road was a variation to the scope of works under the addendum number 3 at a cost of 3,141,024,203 and 86 cents, and it's to be funded by the government of Kenya. The scope of works is summarized as follows. Migwani Bondoni section to junction with A3 is 20.9 kilometers. The main road to Ndolo's Corner Road, Tulia Town and Migwani Town Road is 12.87 kilometers. The 10 kilometers have been completed from Migwani Town to Tulia Town, including some town roads, and therefore the percentage of physical work completed for this additional section is 29.6%, bringing the total completion of the entire project to 90.5%, which of course if you consider the main road of the project. The project end of defect notification period is on 4th October 2023 this year. However, the contractor has suspended works due to the following reasons. Delayed payment of certificates amounting to 1 billion 155,896,907. Delayed land acquisition, and delayed land acquisition. The above two factors are likely to affect the contract period. However, the government has provided 150 million for financial year 2023-2024 for resumption of work. Mr. Speaker, I move to the question asked by the member for Suna West, Honorable Peter Masara. Mr. Speaker, on the construction of the bridge. Mr. Speaker, from our perspective, the road and the bridge go together. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I'll respond as follows. That is question number 80 of 2023. The Kokendi-Arombe Bridge was procured by Kera as construction of Munyu Bridge and approach roads on Kokendi-Arombe Road. The contractor slowed down the rate of works due to financial constraint attributed to delayed payment of pending IPCs, which affected their cash flow. To date, the amount certified for payment is 12,463,881.87 cents, 62% of contract sum of 31,140,484. And as of 14th of April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total sum of 4,962,881, which is due. Before the slowing down of the rate of works, the contractor had completed the major works on the structure, including the flanges, the top and the bottom slabs, and the deck before running into cash flow constraints. The contract was awarded to MES Regional Cost Mainter Limited on 9th July 2019 at a contract sum of 31,140,484.20 cents. The works commenced 7th November 2019 and were scheduled to be completed 12 months up to 7th November 2020 with defects liability period of 12 months. To date, 41 months have elapsed against an overall progress of approximately 55.75%, that being 314% of the contract period. An amount certified for payment is 12,462,881. Having completed major works on the structure, the contractor has been instructed to prioritize the backfilling and construction of the approach roads to Arombe Dispensary to allow public use, especially during the heavy rains. The ministry through Kera has also prioritized to provide budgetary provision to the project in the supplementary budget in the financial year 2022-2023. Mr. Speaker, unless, Mr. Speaker, the question I left the Expressway, and there's question 82 of 2023. No, 82, Mr. Speaker. 82, I think, is again related in terms of the pending roads. Mr. Speaker, the member of Nyatike, Honorable Tom Odege, Mr. Speaker, has asked a question that I need to respond on number 83 or 82 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, in relation to Masara, Sori, Okolomwok Road in Nyatike constituency. Mr. Speaker, and I'll respond as follows. The contract for the upgrading to bitumen standard and performance-based routine maintenance of Masara, Sori Road was awarded to MES Seabird Engineering Service Limited on 6th November 2018. As members will realize, 2018, at a contract sum of 1,521,882,807.50 cents. The works commenced on 3rd January 2019 and were scheduled to be completed in 30 months up to 3rd July 2021 with defects liability period of 12 months and a maintenance period of 36 months. To date, 51 months have elapsed, being 170% of contract period against an overall progress of approximately 83.88% with 28.98 kilometers of blacktop achieved out of the total scope of 41 kilometers. Of the 28.98 kilometers blacktop achieved by the contractor, works totaling 20.5 kilometers were successfully taken over by the employer Kera and are currently under performance-based routine maintenance contract. Currently, the contractor is owed 286,844,972.06 in lieu of works done, and they slowed down the rate of work on site effective December 2021. The contractor slowed down the rate of work on site is currently operating at 5% of the initial work program due to financial constraint attributed to delayed payment of pending IPCs, which affect the cash flow. To date, the amount certified for payment is 936,564,590 and 59 cents. This is being 62% of the contract sum of the 1,521,882,807 and 50 cents. And as of 14th April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total of 286,844,972 and 6 cents for IPC 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14. Further, the road section within Luanda Konyango area traverses a swampy section which floods during heavy rains, and the road has been substantially raised and provided with several cross culverts to vent the water flow. However, the contractor could not complete the backfilling of the culverts, which was to be done in rock fill due to cash crunch. The contractor has been instructed to prioritize these works to enable the public to use the raised road section during flooding season, pending completion of the works. The ministry through KERA has provided a provision of 141,525,000 in the supplementary budget of this financial year for the project, and once there is an exchequer release of funds and payment is made, the contractor shall resume works immediately. Given the financial constraint experienced by the contractor due to delayed payment, the applied extension of time of 582 days so far is under evaluation. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, on that matter is the question by Honorable Gideon Mulyung of Mwingi Central on the question of the road of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road. Mr. Speaker, the construction of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road was done as part of the project for construction of upgrading to bitumen standard of 3.
Mr. Speaker, you stopped me before I asked that question. So the CS is answering before asking, yes. For purposes of the hazard. Yeah. Thank you.
Question 083.
083.
Mwingi Slaughterhouse.
No, not that one.
That's the one he was answering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've seen it. It is 81, 2023.
He was answering 83.
No, he has answered that one.
Okay.
Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, provide a status report on the use of Nairobi Expressway.
Not yet.
Since its inauguration.
Honorable Muriungi, I think you are...
That is what he was answering.
Just hold on. He had not reached there. He was answering your question 083.
Which he has answered.
He was answering.
Okay, let him proceed.
Mr. Speaker.
But if you are so far satisfied with the answer, I can stop him there.
Mr. Speaker, I haven't answered the question, so it would be good for good record to proceed and respond to the question by the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, I sympathize with the situation because I think there was an earlier question that perhaps he did not really ask for the answer, but I've already answered, and I think it's 80, it's earlier than that.
Go on.
But Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I proceed with 83. The construction of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road was done as part of the project for the construction of upgrading to bitumen standard of 3.7 kilometer KCB Slaughterhouse Road in Mwingi, Kitui County, whose employer was the Department of Slum Upgrading under the State Department of Housing and Urban Development. I wish to state that the Kenya Urban Roads Authority was only called upon to provide project oversight role. The project had two lots, lot 1 and 2. The project contract sum of 137,707,776, which cover 3.7 kilometers as indicated in the table below. Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road was 0.7 kilometers at a sum of 30,699,400. Mwingi MTC Nzeluni Miambambi Road, which was 107,008,376. Mr. Speaker, and the total road network is 3.7 kilometers. The contract period was 12 months that ran from 29th June 2020 to 29 June 2021 and has since been completed and wound up and contractor demobilized. Regarding the delays, I wish to say that the initial project had several challenges, as inadequacies in the provision of relocation of services, as well as provisions in the quantities of access culverts. I must admit that there was disruptions in water, Mr. Speaker, supplies, and street lighting due to the damaging of the infrastructure during construction, which is a common occurrence in the road construction projects. However, the contractor did everything possible to restore the supplies and the street lighting within the given time. He was also able to install several access culverts to the affected household. The provision of access culverts may not have been adequate, and to this end, Kura is looking for funds to address the inequalities. The key issue about this question, Mr. Speaker, is to note that the specs of the infrastructure were not done by the way Ministry of Roads does, because it was a project under housing. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, to address the remaining inadequacies, Kura, once they get funds, will continue from where this contractor left, but we can confirm that he completed his work, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I suppose in a combined way, I have answered all the stalled project questions. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All your houses on the expressway. I have a few requests on stalled roads. Member for Kandui.
Giving me the opportunity to ask a supplementary question. And first, to thank the Cabinet Secretary for appearing before the House. First, could the Cabinet Secretary confirm that the Kakamega, Navaholo, Dorofu, Sangalo, and Musikoma Road falls among the stalled road projects? And two, could he indicate to this House and the great people of Kandui who is the contractor? What is the contractual sum? How much money has been paid? Because the contractor has not been on site at all ever since the year 2019. And could he indicate also to the House, taking into account the actions he has proposed, have they engaged this contractor to get him to resume the site? And two, if they have so engaged him, when can the great people of Kandui expect this contractor on site? Because 2 weeks ago, the members of the residents were actually planting bananas on that road. And this is a very big embarrassment to our government.
Thank you. That's enough. Member for Dadaab. Honorable members, the screen is full and has been full since we started. So I don't know whether it's full because of the minister who left or the minister who is on the podium. So what I will now resort to for this round is you probably be inconvenienced to show your hands so that one after the other. I've given Farah. When he finishes, then we'll come to you. And one question at a time. I'll take the minister record the first 6.
Mr.
We've done
Speaker.
Kandui, now we are Dadaab.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, the minister said that there is not going to be any new roads that are going to be started. Mr. Minister, we have got borders with 5 countries. We have our borders with Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia. Northeastern Province is the only country that is the only province, the former Northeastern Province, is the only province that does not have a tarmac road that moves from Nairobi all the way to the border places. in view of the fact that we have a lot of insecurity, our boys in uniform are being blown up in the road between Garissa and Liboi, Garissa and Lugo, all the way to Mandera. Could he use this now as a conduit, as a security road, and promise this House that the infrastructure in that region to our neighboring Somalia will be taken care of as a security measure?
Thank you. Member for Nyatike.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have two questions to
Only
handle.
one.
No, I was standing in for
Only
Honorable Masara.
one. Just ask one question.
Okay. Let me concentrate on the road in Nyatike, the Masara Golumuk Road. When you look at the order paper, there was a mix-up. When I presented myself in the committee, when I was given notice to go to the committee, we handled Masara Muhoro. But ministers adequately answered my question about Masara Agolumuk, which I want to appreciate. The only concern I have, Honorable CS, currently there are a lot of rains. The area you have mentioned between Yakweri and Luanda Konyango, as we are talking now, the drainage is done, but backfilling has not been done. So the road is not in use. As much as the debt burden is there, can we have a quick fix so that the road can be motorable, so that our people can use the road all through to Migori? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Member for Taita Taveta, Women Rep. One question.
Thank you, Speaker. To the Minister, he has mentioned several roads which are stalls. And there's one, Jukini, Rombo, and Elasit, Bura, Mgange, Mbale, and Mtomogod. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister to tell us the status of these roads and what plan the government has for these roads, whether they're stalled or they're not stalled, whether they're still, which plan they have for these roads. Thank you.
Honorable Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is in regard to the emergencies we are facing right now following the flooding in Wajir North constituency. Wajir North is cut off from the entire country. It's not accessible. So could I ask the Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary, on what he is doing about the Buna Bridge, which has always been a perennial problem since independence, cutting off Wajir North from the rest of the country, and equally Hote Watiti Bridge, which has never been done, and the recently washed away Modogashe Tarmac, which was newly built. What are his plans to make sure that those roads and bridges are done, to make sure that the citizens get services, as following the severe drought, now they are in another tragedy of flooding? Thank you.
Honorable Ngogoyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while I appreciate the answers that the CS, who is also my namesake, and Onesimus is a very important name, Mr. Speaker, because he's Onesimus MURKOMEN, I'm Onesimus Ngogoyo. It's good for me to mention, Mr. Speaker, because maybe I could be a CS one day.
Totally.
I want to ask the CS to appraise this House on the specific measures that the CS has taken in relation to the road carnage in this country. Mr. Speaker, I want him to tell this House, the accidents that we've seen, Pwani University, Wundani, the Naivasha issue, are they related to the incomplete projects that are around this country? The gracious lady, Mr. Speaker, has asked about the safety of road users along Mombasa Road. In Ngong, in Kisera, Mr. Speaker, I'm the Member of Parliament, there are serious issues. I think right now, the people who are dying out of accidents could be more than the people dying on COVID. For sure, there is a serious issue on our roads. There is a time National Transport and Safety Authority could be seen doing something. What is the CS doing? And what is the ministry doing about the deaths on our roads, Mr. Speaker? Does he have any cabinet memo that he has presented? What is he doing about it? What does this House, can he tell us on the specific measures that he has undertaken so that we know we are safe, Mr. Speaker? And these incomplete projects, are they related to the accidents that are happening, Mr. Speaker? I would want to hear that from the CS.
CS, I'll take 2 more. Member, say your name, honorable member. I can't see you clearly. Give him the mic. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My names are Sakimba Parashina, member of Parliament, Kajiado South Constituency.
Sorry, member for community, your position has been hijacked by.
Thank you, sir.
Colleague.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, Honorable Speaker, I just stand to ask a question to the CS. Partly it has been asked by Honorable Women Rep of Taita Taveta, but the road is about Illicit Taveta Road. That road, Honorable Speaker, it will fall under the issue of emergency, if you are to talk about the emergency, if you are to talk about the issue of security, because the road is located in the border between Kenya and Tanzania, and if we talk about the economy, it is in between the Amboseli National Park, Game Reserve, and Savo National Park, and it also serves the issue of agricultural products, that supply of food. So when they are going to make a decision on which roads to do, this road has been put in pending for many years. So we want to ask the CS, what are the measures it's doing to make sure that a road that serves the economic purpose of this country is being neglected, whereas even if the money is not there, but some money is there, what is going to be done for that road? Another thing is about that road now is causing accident.
Enough.
So
member.
we want to...
Last on this, I'll give the gracious lady from Nandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, all the roads in this country, like has been stated clearly, are in a sorry state in regards to the stalling. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask if the CS can be gracious enough to provide this House with a comprehensive list, Honorable Speaker, of all the roads in this country when they were first tendered, what is their status right now, and what is the way forward in regards to the same, Honorable Speaker, so that we stop going back and forth and we have a comprehensive list of all the roads in this country, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Mwisho, Martin Pepela. Then, Minister, you answer those 10. We'll do another round, members, just be patient. I know roads are as important as security. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Minister tell this House and the Pofwebuye East how come the road from Misiro to Naitiri and Lugulu to Makuselwa, even after the Ministry paying the contractor advancement payment of around 150 million, the contractor has not even done 10% of that road, which is approximately around 4 kilometers of the first milestone. Secondly, how comes the contractor has not even maintained the road as to play within the contract ahead of works, Mr. Speaker? And finally, what undertaking is the ministry giving the Pofwebuye is that this road will be completed within the stipulated period, Honorable Speaker? Thank you.
Minister, you have those 10.
Mr. Speaker,
from
let me ask. If you allow me, I'll start with a question asked by Honorable Cynthia Muge, who is asking about what we are doing, the roads and everybody. And this will help in all these questions being asked, Mr. Speaker, because I had already said earlier, and I think your orderlies had requested, I think I should table the list officially to the House. And I think, Mr. Speaker, once I do so, in the subsequent conversations, the near future, members will have a reference point of all the contracts in the entire 800 projects. Mr. Speaker, from there now, if honorable members want to consult with the agency or the ministry, we are available. Number two, Mr. Speaker, very important, I established a procedure of consultation with all leaders, all. Mr. Speaker, so far, we have had a meeting with 11 counties, the latest being Turkana this morning, county. And as a result of these meetings with Tarakaniti, Kisii, Baringo, we have had, Mr. Speaker, with Turkana, as I said this morning, among others, it's become more easier for members to make certain suggestions during the meeting. And Mr. Speaker, it's been even more helpful where you have a meeting with the county governor present, because then we deal with duplication of roads and allocation of resources. Again, Mr. Speaker, as I've said, my office is open. We are 11 counties. I will intensify the consultations. I think Kajiado is the next county, and we will make sure that we do all the remaining 36 counties, Mr. Speaker, in maybe in the next 3 months. Our meetings start at 7:30 in the morning. By 9, we are done. So honorable members and the DGs are able to go back to their offices. And all these questions and clarifications, once they are asked there, they, Mr. Speaker, help us to do our job, but also helps the members of parliament to do their oversight work. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that on the specific questions asked, for example, the Navakolo Road, Mr. Speaker, asked by the honorable member for Kandui, Mr. Speaker, that road has stalled from 2017, if I remember, 2017, 2018, because I remember a little bit because some of the members had come to my office. And Mr. Speaker, what we have done is this stalled not because of the money. It stalled even at a time when we had resources, Mr. Speaker. As a result, it is as a result of the contractor. And we have decided to terminate the contract, but by mutual consent with the contractor. And Mr. Speaker, the process of getting another contractor who is more effective is ongoing. And soon, Mr. Speaker, coupled with the mechanisms we are putting in place to ensure we have resources, that contract will continue and will be prioritized, Mr. Speaker, considering the length of period that has taken for this road to be done. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask the Honorable as far as question together with Honorable Sane on the question of the North as a whole. Mr. Speaker, indeed we are unable to do new roads, but if you remember in my answer, I put a rider that, Mr. Speaker, unless these are roads that are supported by development partners. The good news in the northern part of the country is that under this project of Horn of Africa, Mr. Speaker, projects funded by World Bank and African Development Bank, we've been able to do major projects. In fact, some of the major projects, Mr. Speaker, that are going to happen this year or in the next 3 or 4 years are all of them in the north. All these are new projects. And Mr. Speaker, it's going to change the situation in the northern part of the country. We are not only doing the roads, the main tarmac roads, but we are ensuring that all these roads provide spur roads to access all the centers, all the schools, facilitate support in the urban areas. Number two, that all these roads, Mr. Speaker, have ICT connectivity. The cable, the fiber optic cable, thank you, PS. The fiber optic cable is going to be laid along all these roads, Mr. Speaker, and you will see the reverse, that the northern part, which has been marginalized for a long time, might quickly become the part that will have more ICT connectivity thanks to these projects, Mr. Speaker. And going forward, all these projects are going to be accommodated. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure Honorable Farah that his concerns are going to be taken care of. We know that there is a road that's supposed to be done together with the highway from Lamu to Garissa, a connection to the border, Mr. Speaker, with our Somalia border to support security. You know that we have had issues in the recent past, Mr. Speaker, of a few acts of resistance by elements, Mr. Speaker, who don't support development, who want to scare our contractors. But we've been working with the Minister of Interior and Minister of Defense to ensure that this is delivered and delivered on time, Mr. Speaker, to change the North to become the land of opportunity. Mr. Speaker, on the question of Masara Road, I think The honorable member knows that we have made comprehensive answer, and it's unanswered. I don't want to repeat myself. The only thing I want to assure him is that we are looking for ways to ensure it's motorable at this period, at this time because of the rain. The Speaker, the Ilasit Road, asked by both Honorable Haika and Honorable Parashina, the Speaker of Kajiado South. Mr. Speaker, the Ilasit Road is part of the few roads that have been identified for annuity project, and it's part of Lot 32 of the annuity program. It's a very important project for us. It should have been completed many years ago, but you know the negotiation project of annuity, it takes long. In the ministry, the reports that we have done, Mr. Speaker, show that if we were going to continue to deliver this road under annuity project, it's going to be very, very expensive. We are going to use up to, for the period we are going to maintain this road, up to 23 billion. Mr. Speaker, we think that for a road of 67 kilometers, it may not be viable to spend that amount of money, yet in an EPC contract, you can spend about 5 to 6 billion. We are in negotiation with the contractor because he has spent money to prepare for, Mr. Speaker, this annuity project. We are having consultations as a ministry to request them to perhaps find a way, and in keeping with our procurement laws, of turning the contractor to be an EPC contractor, Mr. Speaker, so that then he can perhaps save something from the resources he has spent in structuring this annuity project, but at the same time deliver the project under EPC contract. Mr. Speaker, I have had also consultation with leaders, and soon when I meet Kajiado and Taita Taveta, we will perhaps have had an answer at the progress when we will have reached. Mr. Speaker, allow me to, Mr. Speaker, skip the question by my namesake, Honorable Ngogoyo of Kajiado North, Mr. Speaker, so that I conclude with it. Mr. Speaker, on the question of Honorable Pepela of the Musingu Road, again, it falls within the same rubric of roads that are suffering because of finances, and Mr. Speaker, we are going to make sure that we prioritize. In fact, I dare say that I invite the honorable member and the team of Kakamega to be the, Bungoma, sorry, for Bungoma, to be the next team that will come for a meeting with us after Kajiado, Mr. Speaker, in the second week of next month, so that, Mr. Speaker, we can have comprehensive conversation on all these roads and the status. The good thing with the meetings when we have is that all the agencies are sitting there and solutions to these problems are discussed collectively, both county and national, but also with, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. And I think I'll extend it to Honorable Pepela and his team from Bungoma for a conversation on the same. Now, Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, my friend Honorable Ngogoyo has asked a very, Mr. Speaker, very serious question on road safety. Mr. Speaker, you know this is very dear. In fact, I came here with a very heavy heart because I've been having meetings with NTSA and other ministry officials. Mr. Speaker, before I came here, there is instructions that, Mr. Speaker, I issued to NTSA for certain measures to be put in place. Perhaps that will help. And with your permission, Mr. Speaker, if you can allow me 3 minutes, I can read a few of them, not all of them, but for the record of this House and for the country. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge what my colleague has said, and it's very painful to imagine, Mr. Speaker, that children who are going home from school could not reach home, Mr. Speaker, because of a road accident. And in fact, that incident, Mr. Speaker, is extremely unfortunate because the driver of the vehicle was outrightly overtaking in a place that other vehicles were queuing, Mr. Speaker, in Dalame area. And you all know he was trying to get into the junction between Maimayu and Kinungi Road by force, Mr. Speaker. And then he met with the lorry head-on, and we lost our dear children. I feel pained as a cabinet secretary in charge of this sector. Sometimes I wish that driver, I would find him and do something, Mr. Speaker, about him. But, Mr. Speaker, that is the truth, that the problem is that as a cabinet secretary in a sector like this, you also have to carry the burden of bad manners and bad behaviors of individuals, Mr. Speaker, who have caused havoc in our roads. But that, as may be, I take responsibility that this job is in my docket, and I must continue doing everything humanly possible to provide leadership as to what we are going to do. And as a result, today, Mr. Speaker, I have directed the NTSA to do the following one, that school transportation shall not be allowed to operate between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. in line with Traffic Amendment Act 2017, Mr. Speaker, effective immediately. Mr. Speaker, all school children must be allocated seats with functional seat belts put on at all time. And we should not ignore to say you are small-bodied, you can be carried, squeezed in a matatu. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, school vans, buses, and matatus that are unroadworthy must be removed from the roads with immediate effect. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, in the implementation of the Intelligence Road Safety Management System, all heavy commercial operators must ensure vehicles with tare weight of 3,049 kilograms and above are fitted with speed limiters effective immediately. Mr. Speaker, in compliance with standards 2295 of 2018, all the 57 licensed speed limiter vendor must install approved gadgets that will limit speed, record speed data after every 5 seconds, transmit data to both the NTSA and vendor servers, and report violations real time, Mr. Speaker. To ensure all public service vehicles operate with functional speed limiters and multi-agency functional speed limiters, a multi-agency clinic shall be formed to verify and validate all speed limiters from 25th of April 2023 to 31st May 2023. All stakeholders, including public transport operators, speed limiter vendors, and the National Police Service will be incorporated into this multi-agency exercise. Number 7, all black spot management, I wish to direct that Kenya National Highway Authority, Kenya Urban Roads Authority, and the Kenya Transport and Safety Authority to work expeditiously to complete the ongoing road safety audits on all black spots and ensure safety interventions, including installation of signage, reflectors, and street lighting within the next 30 days. Additionally, all infrastructure around school should be audited and declared school zones with necessary road furniture for the safety of our school children within the next 6 months. I have further instructed the road agencies to ensure cameras have been installed in all black spots. The first phase to be completed within the next 4 months, Mr. Speaker. Section 336 of Cap 403 of Traffic Act provides that a driver of a public service vehicle or a commercial vehicle shall be required to undergo every 3 years a driving test under Section 39 successfully as a condition for each renewal of license. Further, Section 105A1 of Traffic Act provides that a driver of a public service vehicle or a commercial vehicle shall, after every 3 years from the date of issue of driving license, pursuant to Section 30 of the renewal of such license, whichever is the case, undergo, Mr. Speaker, underline, undergo a physical fitness test, including an eye and hearing test by a qualified medical practitioner. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, I have directed that from 1st of June 2023, all PSV drivers and commercial vehicle drivers, upon expiry of their licenses, will be subjected to a mandatory driver retest before renewal of driving license. From 1st of July 2023, all PSV drivers and commercial vehicles drivers will be subjected to a mandatory medical fitness test by a qualified medical practitioner before renewal of their driving licenses. Additionally, all driver trainees will be expected to provide a medical certificate before administration of the NTSA driver test. On the enforcement of proliferation of substandard products in automotive industry, it has been noted from the crash Mr. Speaker, investigations that most of the crashes are caused by tire burst, brake failure while on high speed, while others were caused by crashing into vehicles mounted with substandard retroflective strip stars, affecting visibility of the road. To address this, I have directed NTSA to form a multi-agency enforcement team, bringing together Anti-Counterfeit Agency, Kenya Bureau of Standards, National Police Service, to weed out distributors and suppliers of substandard products and spare parts. In compliance with Standard Stat 372 of 2019, a passenger vehicle being constructed, this is important, Mr. Speaker, I direct immediate enforcement of anti-rolling bars, installation of seat belts, and proper anchorage of seats on all public service vehicles, including matatu, omnibuses, and buses. Additionally, I have tasked NTSA through the Motor Vehicle Inspection Unit to validate and take necessary action against the non-compliant vehicles. Mr. Speaker, the last measure, as the 11th measure, Mr. Speaker, to support a post-crash management and in implementation of Regulation 11G of the PSV Regulation 2014, all long-distance public service vehicles, PSV, are directed to subscribe to an accident and emergency system with immediate effect. In addition to this, the vehicles are required to prominently display the details of subscription as public information and for passenger reference. Mr. Speaker, additionally, I have instructed NTSA to submit a list of non-compliant public service vehicles and heavy commercial vehicles to the Insurance Regulatory Authority for assessment of the insurance policies within the next 7 days. In the long term, for effective implementation of the same, I further direct the NTSA to work on finalizing system integration between them and the insurance sector for real-time data sharing to assist the compliance and enforcement. I also directed that all motor vehicle owners with expired inspection certificates must present their vehicles to nearest the NTSA center for fresh assessment of their roadworthiness within the next 30 days. In conclusion, I assure Kenyans of the ministerial commitment to implement regulations, policies, and laws and enhance behavioral change through training and sensitization to reduce road carnage, enhance safety and security on our roads, and save lives of our road users. We shall work closely with the Minister of Interior and National Coordination and other related ministries and state agencies to ensure these directives are adhered to. I have also instructed NTSA to intensify the Usalama Barabarani campaign and education awareness program across the country in a bid to change the attitude and behavior of all road users. I also call upon leaders, including honorable members in this chamber, cabinet colleagues of mine, governors, state agencies, religious leaders, the media fraternity, and all stakeholders in the transport sector to support these initiatives and to reverberate this clarion call at all levels. I urge members of public to take personal responsibility for their safety by putting on seat belts when in vehicles, wearing helmets when riding aboard Mr. Speaker, crossing the road at the designated point, reporting drunk drivers, and refusing to board, Mr. Speaker, vehicles that are driven by drunk drivers, refusing also to board, Mr. Speaker, and roadworthy vehicles, and stopping and alighting from speeding vehicles. Mr. Speaker, usalama barabarani ni jukumu letu sote. Help us restore sanity in our roads by reporting incidents of traffic violation to the National Police Hotline 911. Mr. Speaker, those are the measures we put in place. And Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the opportunity granted. And by coincidence, the fact that, Mr. Speaker, I had this document just having issued now to just get the opportunity on the floor of this very important august house, Madam Speaker, to make this very important statement related to our roads. Of consequence, Mr. Speaker, I promised this house during vetting that we shall make sure that road enforcement, traffic enforcement, Madam Speaker, will take advantage of technology. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, we are doing everything possible with the road agencies and NTSA to make sure that cameras are installed to start with within the Northern Corridor, Mombasa, Malaba, and also, Mr. Speaker, within our cities to ensure that we are able to catch all these culprits. And we are starting in the next 2 to 3 months with the black spots, Mr. Speaker, a number of the black spots that have been identified. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Taita Taveta, Honorable Haikam Ziggy. Oh, she's had, no, she's, honorable members, she's doing a follow-up question. And then after that, we still have an opportunity for 10 others. That's the instruction I had here, that she has a follow-up question.
Thank you, thank you, CS, for the answer about Taveta Elicity Road. It was a reminder about the Bura Mgange Undanyi Mtomogodi Road. Please, if you can shed light on that one, a quick one. Thank you.
Okay, I think Waziri, you'll wait for the next round of questions. Yeah. I'll just go by the list here.
Am I supposed to respond?
The problem is I cannot be able to see all your faces from this far. Honorable members, please. The Honorable Member for Ruangwe, Honorable Lilian Gogo. The Honorable Kayemba.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And as I ask this question, I would like to thank the CS, because the road, the Kieni-Karurumo road in my constituency that has been, where the contractor had started works, the contractor has already resumed work. He has mobilized, and today I've received the good news that he has embarked on the tarmacking of that road. So receive my appreciation, the Honorable Speaker. The Honorable CS. The Honorable CS, I would like to ask you this, because you've said that it is the citizens' responsibility to ensure road safety. And I am a frequent traveler on the Embu-Nairobi-Meru road. And what I have seen, the Honorable CS, is that the police officers who are supposed to man the roads are a very busy people, not manning the roads, but collecting money from the road users, from the matatu drivers, from the border operators. So as you tell the citizens that it is their responsibility to ensure their road safety by reporting the police officers, to the police, I would wish that you also make a declaration, or rather even issue a statement to remove those police officers from the roads whose responsibility has now become to collect monies from matatu drivers and harassing border operators. So tell us what you're doing about that, because that is partly what is causing the menace that we are having on our roads in this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Wundanyi.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Nataka kusema jambo mfupi tu sana, kwamba kwa waziri nimshukuru kwa sababu amesema, ameelekeza mambo mazuri sana ya kupigana na utovu wa nidhamu barabarani. Lakini nataka kusema kwamba juzi nimekuwa na ajali mbaya sana kule kwangu Undanyi. Tumepoteza watu 13. Sehemu ile ni ile inaitwa Black Spot. Kulijengwa ukuta wa mita nusu, kama mita moja hivi, ili magari yanaposhuka, manake ni pahali pa muinuko, ili akigonga yasi roll. Sasa waziri, nataka kuomba kwamba sehemu ile kwanza ijengwe ukuta mkubwa ambao gari ikigonga basi si roll. Lakini pili, sehemu ile ni hatari sana, na ndio kwa sababu tulikuwa
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think now it is automatically me.
I've not given you the mic, honorable member. Complete your question.
Sasa nilikuwa naomba waziri tujenge ukuta, alafu njia ile tulikuwa pesa ilikuwa imewekwa na barabara ikaanza ile ya Mto Mogodi Mbale ambayo Mheshimiwa Ika ameitaja. Ile barabara ingekuwa imefanyika ama ingekuwa inapitisha magari, watu wangetumia ile barabara ya mwinuko ambayo iko na black spot. Kwa hivyo ombi langu ni kwamba waziri, najua pesa ileko katika budget ya supplementary, naomba ikiwezekana ifanyike kwa haraka ili watu wasiendelee kupoteza maisha mahali pale. Alafu pili, saizi kumenyesha mvua, barabara haipitiki. Sasa naomba kwamba hata kama contractor atakuwa hajarudi barabarani, tutafute njia ya kufanya kwamba barabara hiyo ya Mto Mogodi, Msau, Mbale, Undanyi, Bura iweze kupitika kwa sasa ili watu wasiendelee kupoteza maisha mahali pale Josa. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable Bamba Kakai, I know you don't have your mic.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. For the CS, you've articulated the issue on the financial constraints for the country, which we can see and we can feel. But I would like you to assure this House that as you start the new project, you'll also ensure there's fair distribution, because you also being my county-mate by extension, in Trans Nzoia you've seen how skewed projects have been distributed. An example, if you look at Kiminini, the only road that passes in Kiminini is the Eldoret Highway via Moisbridge, which again is very narrow with frequent accidents. And the second one is Bungoma, Webuye, Kiminini, then Trans Nzoia town. I think the same thing also applies to constituencies like Endebess, where we only have the highway crossing over to Uganda. So I would like you to assure us that as you resume the new projects, you'll also give priority and ensure fair distribution. And lastly, as you do those projects, also to assure us that it will not just be roads construction, but you'll also ensure that we come up with the infrastructure that fits the current realities. Because today there is human and motorcycle competition and vehicles as well. So for areas that are populated and they really rely on a motorcycle transportation, somehow an initiative that is more sort of aggressive and proactive to address even a possibility of having special lane for motorcycles. Because the menace on motorcycle, we've seen even recently, barring our own member of parliament because of that. So even as we make those infrastructure, we need to be more creative and try to really address the current reality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam.
Member for Naivasha, Honorable Jane Kihara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I ask my question now, I would like to tell the CS how important it is to get the dueling of Rironi, Mau Summit Road. All the deaths are happening between there and Naivasha, especially. Now, I wanted to ask the CS the criteria used to classify a road as a security road. Why I ask this, Madam Speaker, it is because in the last regime I had gone to the PS interior, indicating that the road linking Nakuru and Narok via Maela, Kongoni, coming out in Naivasha was so important because when we have demonstrations, which are there quite often, on the Narok Road, when drivers kill Maasai cows or they kill sand harvesters, the demonstrations there become very ugly, and sometimes even tourists are blocked and get late for their flights in Nairobi when they come from Masai Mara. So that road is so important, linking the two counties, Narok and Nakuru via Naivasha. So I would like to ask the minister to get it, to classify it as a security road, because actually it is. He also knows that he came to campaign in Naivasha. Him and the president. Actually, he came twice. And they promised to get that road done. So as we put it, as we classify it as security, it is very important that it is put in the list.
The Honorable nominated member, the Honorable Jackson Kosgei. Honorable Bishop Kosgei.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to ask two questions to the Honorable CS. Number one is, what is the ministry doing to ensure the infrastructural developments, especially in urban areas, when we build new roads, it ensures accessibility by persons with disability and also emergencies? That is one. Number two, we have also we have witnessed that in our port of entry, and I wish to single out the major one, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, where if you are coming home, you got, as a person with disability, you got to disembark and go around to where the planes are, the engines are running, and enter the port of entry using the same cargo area. What is the ministry doing to make sure that it is possible for persons with disability to access our major airport and also our airstrips where we need only a RAM that can be portable one, and the samples are there? So we have been, the persons with disability are subjected to so many difficulties as they access the same. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, I will allow Honorable Muliungi, member for Mwingi Central, to ask his last question. Then all of you will have an opportunity, because I know that they are similar, to do the follow-up questions. We have plenty of time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, the other questions which I had asked, I needed to seek some further clarifications. If you allow me, Gunenu, I wanted to find out whether the CS will allocate adequate budget, because if you pay 72 million, which you have allowed in this financial year, and the pending bill is 175 million, the contractor will definitely not go to site. He will not go back. And therefore, I need that clarification. Number two, there are heaps of maram which were left on the road, and a one-way side road provided. And because of that, there has been many accidents. We have lost a lot of people. And we need that intervention so that that is made good, so that we don't continue losing lives because of a stalled project and the negligence by the contractor. The Kalisasi Mumbuni Road, it is not terminating at Mumbuni Shopping Center. The terminus is Musukini, so you can make that correction. And Mumbuni is 1 kilometer. Sorry, Musukini is 1 kilometer. Mumbuni is 5 kilometers. And my wish is to reach Mumbuni. So you need also to clarify that, because the money to get to Musukini Shopping Center was removed through the supplementary budget. And therefore the road ended in the bush instead of going to the shopping center. So I want to find out whether you are going to reinstate that budget cut to enable the road to reach Musukini Shopping Center. The other one, Mwingi Slaughter, there is no lot called Mwingi MTC in Zeluni Miambani. Miambani gets to Kitui town, which is about 50 kilometers away. But this was 3.7 kilometers only. But if you can get to that 50 kilometers, it will be better for me and for the people of Mwingi Central. And therefore, what the contractor did is he did the tarmac, the bitumen, only, and left out services like water, reinstatement of pipes, street lighting. Culverts were poorly done because there was no drainage which was done. So the culverts are above the tarmac level. And what I was asking is if that is going to be corrected. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I now go to my last question, which is on the expressway. Number one, can the CS provide a status report on the use of the Nairobi Expressway since its inauguration and how it has improved traffic congestion in the city? Number two, state whether the ministry intends to improve the main Mombasa road that was affected by the construction of the expressway, including providing the necessary drainage infrastructure, road signs, and bus stops, which are lacking now. Number three, explain why there are no entry and exit points to the Nairobi Express to and from the city center, and in particular, El Salase Avenue and the Kenyatta Avenue. Because if you are coming from Mombasa Road and you want to land in the city center, you have to go all the way to Museum roundabout so that you can come back, and it doesn't help at all. And clarify whether this was a strategic or an erroneous omission, and if so, when will the ministry rectify this glaring omission? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I will now allow the Honorable Member from Mwingi West, Honorable Charles Ngusia. I think it's just half a part of your question that you had not asked.
Yes.
Then after that, we'll allow the Cabinet Secretary to answer the questions, and the follow-up questions can ensue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate the answer given by our young and able Cabinet Secretary for Roads, and I would like to appreciate what he has done so far. And my question is, the road at the moment, which is not upgraded to bitumen standard, is not motorable at all. Could Cabinet Secretary actually provide
road,
something?
I think you can state the road specifically.
That is the road, the Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Migwani, Bodoni road. It's not motorable at all. So can Cabinet Secretary actually provide a solution for the short term solution, please?
Thank you. Honorable CS, if you could answer those questions, then the members will have a chance with the follow-up questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know a number of the questions are almost related. Generic answer would have been, say, when the money is available, we will do it. But first of all, let me delve into the main question of the remaining question by Honorable Mulyungi on the expressway. So, Madam Speaker, the traffic status report of the expressway since inauguration is indicated in the table below, a table that I will provide also when I finally sign and leave my statement before this House. The total number of vehicles recorded which have used the expressway from the inception until the end of March 2023 was 12,491,403. The breakdown is as follows. From May to June 2022, the total traffic volume is 1,257,019, which is an average of 26,188 per day. 26,188 per day. That was May to June 2022. July to September 2022, there was an average of 34,209 vehicles passing through expressway, which gives it a total of 3,147,206, Madam Speaker, total traffic volume during that period. From October to December 2022, there was a total of 3.9, which is 3,974,821 vehicles through the expressway, which gives it an average of 43,205 per day. Currently, in the period between January to March, there has been a total of 4,112,357 vehicles passing through the expressway, giving it an average of 45,000 per day. There is a steady increase, Madam Speaker, on the number of vehicles that are passing through the expressway, and a further report will be given in every 3 months as the vehicles pass through that expressway. We are also currently in the process of reviewing a decision that was made by my predecessor to lock out PSV vehicles through the expressway, because at that point in time they caused a number of accidents because of overspeeding. And since the measures have been put in place, we are looking at the request that has come to my office to allow the PSV vehicles to pass through the expressway. The ministry through Kenya has procured for works on Mombasa Road at River Interchange James Kishuru as follows. Madam Speaker, this is the question related to A8 Road, the road below, if you put so, below the expressway. So the ministry through Kenya has procured for works on Mombasa Road as follows. Periodic maintenance of Nairobi Southern Bypass Interchange, Ole Sereni at River Interchange, A8 Road to Ms. Wolf Paving Works, Kenya Limited, as a contract sum of 1,867,823,673.12. B, periodic maintenance of James Kishuru Road in Junction, that's Nairobi Southern Bypass Interchange, Ole Sereni A8 Road, to MS Shovels and Trowels Limited, as a contract sum of 1,271,451.26. The rehabilitation works are scheduled to commence on 26th of April 2023, and it's anticipated to be completed by 25th of April 2025. Madam Speaker, the approved designs for the expressway, now maybe before I go there, I have also attached to my report the exact works that are going to take place in this very important road, because Kenyans have really asked that the hustlers are using the road below, and those who are capable to pay the expressway need to be facilitated to be able to pay, Madam Speaker, also pass through the road as like the other users who are able to pay the expressway. The point is that in this road we have construction of walkways, and I think it was Honorable Koskei who had asked about what we are doing. There are construction of walkways, construction of 12 bus bays. There is a new pedestrian underpass at the UON student tunnel. There are a number of box culverts that are being constructed. There is also drainage channels that are being done, protection of works and stone pitching near Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. There is drainage improvement, particularly many Kenyans, when they pass Mombasa Road, they complain that it has become like a lake when it rains. It's because some of the places that are blocked, Madam Speaker, Haimara Daima Estate area, and it's being reopened to extending the 3.5 kilometer to discharge to Ngong River along Outer Ring Road. There is also 21 kilometer of pedestrian walkways, and there is also construction of concrete pavement along Mlolongo Auxiliary Lane. So there is a comprehensive work that is going to be done to restore the road, the A8 road, the 27 kilometers, and that work will begin, Madam Speaker, as indicated here, on the 26th of April, which is in a week's time. The contractors must be on site. The works were contracted to 2 different contractors as indicated. The approved design of expressway Again, this is a very important question. It comes out repeatedly why Expressway does not have termination or an entry to the city center. And Madam Speaker, the approved designs for Expressway included an exit into the CBD at Haile Selassie roundabout, which could not be constructed at the time of construction as the government could not avail the land required due to pushback from environmental and their important group, the environmental lobbyists, regarding sitting of the exit tolling station in Uhuru Park, and from the management of Kenya Railway Golf Club regarding sitting of the exit tolling station on portion of land within the golf course. To ensure service levels are maintained as agreed by both parties, the project developer, toll road operator, together with contracting authority Kenya, have discussed and agreed upon alternative exit into the CBD to be located next to the Green Park terminus on land acquired from Railway Sports Club that will allow access to Haile Selassie Avenue and Uhuru Highway. That is the place you saw with some parking up there. The construction of the CBD exit will take 8 months from issuance of approval by the contracting authority, which is expected to be communicated to the project developer by the end of this month. The Expressway is very important, Madam Speaker, because it has decongested the city, making it easy for all, including visiting dignitaries, to access the city faster. The second thing about the Expressway is that this is a project which is a good model of effective PPP in that it removes demand risk for the government. We are in discussion with the National Treasury so that we can continue this conversation on how to toll out further more roads across the country. Madam Speaker, the problem we are facing now with financing roads would have been mitigated if the third administration had been bold enough to toll the Southern Bypass and Thika Road. Remember, when Thika Road was being constructed, the argument had been made that it's going to be tolled, and even infrastructure, initial infrastructure provided for tolling of the Thika Road. Since then, political leaders, including all of us, including myself, like ourselves in this house, have never been bold enough to toll the roads. The amount spent in Nairobi alone to dual roads, such as Eastern Bypass, Southern Bypass, Western Bypass, and Outer Ring Road, would have built lots of infrastructure elsewhere in the country. Thus, those who benefited from the who are benefiting from such infrastructure should contribute to the building of other roads around the country. It is my humble request to this House to work with my ministry to start a very candid discussion on tolling of the roads that are dual and have alternative passing routes for passengers to enable us to raise funds for further construction of the roads and maintenance. Madam Speaker, as part of the answer of this question, I really hope we can be bold enough and work together as members of parliament to make sure that we toll these roads. If we had told these roads from the beginning, the amount of resources we would be having in tolling fund would have actually been maintaining and constructing more roads. That person in Lokichokyo or Loitoktok, who is, Madam Speaker, not a beneficiary of using Southern Bypass, he is asking ourselves, why is she or he contributing to the payment of the taxes, to the loans that we took to build these roads, and yet they cannot access their county headquarters at all? The best answer would be to tell that person, that road that we have tolled in, that we have constructed in urban areas, we are tolling and collecting the money, it's going to tolling fund, and that is why we are building for you these other roads to access your county headquarters and access services. This is the only strongest justification we can have to make sure that gradually we become self-sustaining as a country in terms of managing our roads. In fact, the challenge of self-sustainability will be higher as we continue rolling out electric vehicles. In the near future, 5, 8, I don't think it will reach 10 years. The number of electric vehicles which will be in this country will be more than those which are using fossil fuel. At that point in time, we will not be having the road maintenance levy fund from the fuel. That is why we must become as innovative as possible. And my ministry will take this bold step to come with these directives to this House, and I hope that we will be supported by members of Parliament so that we raise funds to take care of our roads and to build better roads going forward. I agree. Sorry, now I remember that there were supplementary questions. Let me follow with that immediately with the supplementary questions. Most of them, as I said, are almost generic, but there is a most important question that has been asked by Honorable Jane Kihara about dualling of Rironi Mau Summit. I believe, Madam Speaker, we will have time to discuss the dualling of Mombasa, Nairobi, and Rironi Mau Summit at another opportunity when I have another opportunity to come before this House and maybe to respond to also questions on the transport sector. But what I want to say, which is important, is this. We are working round the clock to discuss with the prospective investor, PPP investor, on the Mau Summit Rironi Road. Our point of contention at the moment, that is why the road is not beginning, is the transfer of traffic risk from the investor to the government of Kenya, which means that we carry the burden if we do not meet the number of the volumes of vehicles using the road to the level that the investor requires to repay the loans. The government of Kenya would have to pay for a long period of time. And we calculated the amount. It can even mean that we pay about between 15, 20 to 30 billion consistently for the next 20 years, up to 2050. That way, that would be another additional burden to our already burdened society. We have asked the investor to think through a process where this burden would not be borne by the government of Kenya. That is why you hear me, if you hear me praising the Expressway, it's because that burden is not being carried by the people of Kenya. If the Expressway investor does not achieve the volumes he requires to recoup his investment, we, the people of Kenya, are not going to fill in the gap. Unfortunately for the Rironi Mau Summit, it requires us to fill the gap. And for that reason, Madam Speaker, if we eliminate this point of contention, we will be able to build the road between Rironi and Mau Summit. Thankfully, there are other investors who are already coming in and saying, if the current investor is not ready, we are ready to invest in this road, even if it means to carry on the burden of not requiring government to guarantee the volumes. And this conversation is important because then it means Kenya is an important destiny when it comes to investors and investments, particularly of PPP nature. And we want to thank our investors in this sector, particularly in the road sector, for making this possible. The rest of the questions that have been asked by honorable members, Honorable Karemba has asked a very important question about police officers. I will still come back to Honorable Jane about the road she had asked and security question. Madam Speaker, yes, we require citizen responsibility. And I need to continue emphasizing that you cannot just board a vehicle. You can see outrightly the driver is drunk and you do nothing about it, and you are 14 people against one driver. There can be no greater abdication of responsibility than that you take the risk to be driven by a drunk driver from Eldoret to Nairobi and to wait for the Minister of Transport to answer in Parliament why you allowed a drunk driver. When we as citizens can take the bold step of alighting from the vehicle and asking the company of that vehicle to provide another driver or another vehicle that can carry people for safely. We cannot continue being in the same bus. I saw some Kenyans sending to me pictures of a driver who is, they're taking the pictures, they are sitting inside the bus, the driver is chewing sugar cane, Madam Speaker, and leaving, abdicating his responsibility as a driver, removing his hands off the steering wheel. The only thing that those citizens who are sitting inside their bus succeeded to do was to take pictures so that they can take to social media and ask the minister, what are you doing about this driver who is chewing a sugar cane Madam Speaker, and abdicating his responsibility. While we know they would have taken the responsibility directly of stopping that driver from doing what he was doing. We cannot be helpless when it comes to our own lives. The driver is overtaking vehicles. He has overtaken vehicles in Salga. He has come to Nakuru, overtaken vehicles. He has come to Gilgil, he's done the same, recklessly. But you are inside cheering, telling drivers, do it faster, we must be in Nairobi as fast as possible. Abdicating your responsibility to know that you must be carried safely. If it starts with us, it will become even easy for us to be able to deal with the question of this. However, there is a responsibility for the police. We know that bribery is, we can take judicial notice that this is a menace that we have been unable to eradicate in our roads. What is the ministry doing? We are gradually replacing human monitoring of the roads with technology. That is why I said the black spots, including near the bridge, will in the next 2-3 months have a camera in the piloting stage, so that all of us can be able to monitor the vehicles as they pass through there, and slowly by slowly, we will not need to have a police officer having to man all the roads. Slowly by slowly, from a command center, using technology, we'll be able to catch those who are misusing, committing traffic offenses. On the question of Undanyi, it is true that we had a problem, and the honorable member has requested that we increase the barrier height and make sure that it's a wall. We will take note of your statement. By the time we meet with Taita Taveta, we should be able to discuss together about what audit plans we did at the black spot there, and put in place mechanism for improving those black spots. The good thing with Kenya is that in the highways, they have been auditing every black spot. As it happens, the statistics are given by NTSA, and Kenya have been able to decide whether to put bumps or to make sure that we are building guardrails and improve the signage and so forth. That is what we will try to do, even as we work on the other mechanisms. To my friend, Honorable Morris, Kakai Bissau, on the question of Trans Nzoia, it is true that we have a big problem in Trans Nzoia. It is actually a paradox that until the Jubilee administration came to place in 2013, Trans Nzoia and Uasin Gishu, being the bread basket of our country, especially the inlands inside the counties, were completely ignored. A lot has been done, but a lot needs to be done. I appreciate that Kiminini is one of those marginalized, and many people in the country will never believe if you say Kiminini is marginalized from road network, and we are working around the clock to make sure that we rectify this issue. Unfortunately, to start new projects, we can't use GOK funds at the moment, but as I said, every time we have plans with our development partners and they're willing to support us with fairly good concessional loans, or we will be able to support those programs. But also, we must design and plan for the time that the resources will be in place, so that then in the fullness of time, we'll be able to do so. Again, the day we meet with you as a Trans Nzoia team, we should be able to address these issues. On the question of motorcycles, Kitale was a renowned town in western part of the country when it used to be, when border were bicycles. We all know that now that has been taken over by motorcycle, and that is a menace across the country. Unfortunately, motorcycles cannot have their route. They enjoy the service of using the same road because they are motor vehicles. Motorcycles, they use the same road with the other vehicles. Unfortunately, we use motorcycles or border as we all know,
Honorable CS,
in highways.
We are getting to a close.
Okay.
We are past our time, so I would ask that you kindly wind up.
Okay, I will gladly wind up, Madam Chair, by saying that these border vehicles should not be used in highways. We shouldn't be able to see them, in Kitale Bungoma Road or Kitale Eldoret Road, but they are there. And we must work with the reality that they are there. And we are working on the mechanism of regulation. In the statements I made earlier, you saw that I didn't focus on the border side. We are coming back with those regulations as a result of the same. On the road, Honorable Jane Kiara has mentioned, again, this Maela Road is a big issue. I believe that we have had discussion with the Honorable Member and the leaders of Nakuru, As promised, we are going to do everything possible to ensure that we look for the resources for the same. Honorable Kosgei has raised an important issue about NMT and persons with disabilities. Again, we will do the same. I don't think classifying a road, to answer Honorable Jane Kiara, as security will change anything, because the Minister of Interior doesn't have money to put it differently. So it just still comes back to us. Let's just find a way of doing the road. It might even be better to do it as an important road for agriculture and economic activity, including the Kengen projects that are going on play and GDC projects. Airport access ramps, I agree with Honorable Kosgei, will continue with the same. And for Honorable CNN, we promise to maintain the road as it awaits the resources for improvement to bitumen standards. I want to say that for Honorable Gideon of Mwingi Central, again, your question was supplementary, further improvement of the remaining part of the roads. I think the best answer to tell you is we will have to work on the resources to do so. At least for the record, we have provided a substantive part of the answer. The funds, of course, permitting, we can address the other issues. But as I said, our doors are open. We haven't met Kitui leadership. When we sit down as Kitui as well, we should be able to thrash out some of these issues.
Honorable Gogo, what's your point of order?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I've heard you mention that the CS's time is up. I'm afraid when I was called to speak, Honorable Chair,
Order,
I had been moved out.
Order, member. Order. Order, member. Honorable members, I realize that there is immense interest on this matter. And Honorable CS, I see you coming back very soon. But honorable members, we follow our standing orders. The question time is 3 hours. We have taken 3 hours and 25 minutes. This matter will be put to rest. We will release the CS and the team. The follow-up questions can be followed up later, but we will not break the standing orders. Honorable CS, please conclude.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, Madam Speaker, I want to thank this august House for giving me the opportunity to be here today and for the opportunity to respond to as many questions as it was possible. Madam Chair, I know it is not within my purview, but I have made a suggestion.
Honorable Gogo, you're totally out of order. You will not shout to the speaker or across the aisle. You know the standing orders. Continue, Honorable C.
So, Madam Speaker, I know it is not within my purview, but having served as a member of Parliament, and especially with you in the Senate, Madam Speaker, I want to suggest that as from the experience of the questions that were sent to us, to make very good use of this opportunity, very rare opportunity for a Cabinet Secretary to appear before this House, if the questions could in future be formulated to cover policy issues as such, so that it cuts across than, Madam Speaker, dealing only with one bridge somewhere or one road somewhere. It will then answer, like the case was with the question of pending bills as a whole, so that if the follow-up questions are about a bridge somewhere, a road somewhere, the main statement about the status of pending bills will have been answered. And Madam Speaker, again with a ministry that has both roads and parts of transport, it would be nice if we get an opportunity in future that the questions be prepared in such a way that cuts across the ministry, because this opportunity comes once in perhaps a year or so, I guess, so that then questions that members may have on the transport sector could be addressed at the same time, so that we cut across the ministry and give an opportunity to update the nation and the House across the board on the things we do. Otherwise, it has been my greatest pleasure to have the slightest opportunity to have something closer to accessing Parliament as I used to do before, even though not in full sense of it. And I appreciate always the opportunity to interact with members of Parliament. I believe accountability is extremely important in making sure that my ministry and other ministries are able to deliver for the people of Kenya. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. Honorable members, you'll indulge me. It's not very popular to be the one to cut this, but I have to because of our standing orders. We will release the CS and the team, and we'll revert back to our business for the rest of the day. CS. Order members, we'll go back to our order paper. The special motion under order number 8, for obvious reasons, that will be deferred. Order number 8.
Order number 8, special motion, consideration of nominee for appointment as chairperson of the Kenya Fish Marketing Authority. Question to be put.
Order members, will defer that business to the next sitting. Order number 9.
Order number 9, special motion, consideration of nominee for appointment as chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
Chair Jailak.
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to move the special motion that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in its report on the vetting of a nominee for the appointment as the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 18th April 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 10(3) of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2011 and Section 8(1) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House approves the appointment of Dr. David Adang Oginde as the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Jerry, ready? Second. All right. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, please.
Continue, Honorable Budgetary.
Yes. Honorable Speaker, we have had sittings regarding the appointment of Dr. David Oginde as the nominee for appointment as chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. The matter was referred to the committee by His Excellency, sorry, by the Honorable Speaker. Sorry. All right, I get to it. I'm sorry about that. Madam Speaker, the nominee was referred to this House by His Excellency the President, and the matter was referred to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee by the Speaker. We actually held hearings as required by the law, and Dr. David Adang Oginde appeared before us, and we actually conducted what is called vetting. That is the pre-appointment hearing. Madam Speaker, we have prepared a detailed report, which we have tabled before the House. It was tabled yesterday, and I believe members have had the occasion to actually go through this report. In summary, at the hearing of this nominee's vetting, it came out clearly that the nominee was actually suitable to be appointed the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. When we posed questions on his academic suitability, it proved to us that he actually had the academic qualifications. when it came to what his reaction was towards being appointed the chairman of this commission, he demonstrated to us that he had a passion of fighting corruption. In fact, he took us through what he referred to as cultural change, that for the country to embrace the war against corruption, we have to have a cultural change. We listened to this, and having his religious background, we actually thought this may have been more of a sermon than an expression of what he would do. But at the end of the day, we were convinced that, in fact, this is one of the strongest points with Dr. Oginde as regards the fight against corruption, that we must have as a country a cultural change towards how we take cases of corruption, even instances of corruption, and how we instill the moral values to our children at young age as regards corruption. We also proceeded to ask him what else he would do, and especially to keep together the commission, because in the past we've seen it, that chairpersons are appointed, and there is direct conflict with the CEO of the commission, as a result of which, in some circumstances, the commission has had to be terminated prematurely because of those conflicts. He confirmed to us that, bearing in mind his past, that Dr. David Oginde has headed a church, one of the biggest churches in Nairobi, the Sita Ministries, Christ is the Answer Ministries. He demonstrated to us that he is able to keep people together, because here he had all manner of people under him, and he was actually able to serve them well. So we were convinced that he is going to take care of this commission as the chairperson to offer leadership. He was able to distinguish to us that the commissioners are there to offer leadership to the commission, while the CEO and his employees are there to execute the mandate conferred by the law as far as fighting graft is concerned. So we actually retreated to do this report, and we read from the media that there was a disagreement, which I kept on saying was a fiction, was a figment of imagination from the media people, because the report we have is unanimous. Most of the members of the committee and those who were present appended their signatures to this report to confirm approval. There were other extraneous issues that were raised, which we did not consider, because it is not the work of this committee to go on a fishing expedition as regards matters that are not before it. There were no affidavits that were sworn in opposition to his appointment. So, having evaluated the suitability of one Dr. David Adang Oginde, and having made our observations, we came to the conclusion that Dr. David Adang Oginde is suitable to be appointed the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Therefore, I do move that this House agrees with our report and does actually approve that Dr. David Adang Oginde be the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I beg to move, and I do request a member, a distinguished member.
Order, member. What is your point of order, Honorable Beatrice Kemei?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would really want to appreciate the chairperson of the Department Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, who is moving a very, very important motion. However, pursuant to Standing Order 35, there is no quorum in the House, Madam Speaker.
All right. Honorable members, I order that the bell be rung for 10 minutes.
That's where we still Funny how new members when we are going to I can also make that blunder one time. After that, it was wrong. I made that blunder.
We have about 15 people inside there. I can go at all.
There's no other way to perfect this. No. Once it is correct, kama tungekuwa she needs to question inaisha, swali inaisha na kila mtu anaenda.
Order members. Order members. Honorable Njeri, Honorable Muge, order. Order Ferdinand, Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi. And the time being 6:30 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Thursday, 20th April 2023 at 2:30 p.m.